everyone. Wow, it's quite an audience that we have on the webinar today. I see folks from all over the country. It's amazing. I am very excited to welcome you all and get us started with the programming tonight or this afternoon for those of you on the West Coast like myself. First of all, I would like to briefly introduce myself and the speakers for today. My name is Luan Nguyen, and I'm a Director of Business Operations here at LinkedIn. I am also the Program Lead for SOAR, or Strategy Operations Analytics Rotational Program. We're going to refer to this as SOAR tonight. You will also hear from our awesome lineup of speakers. We have Jesse and Ali, who head up our recruiting committee. We also have Sophia, who is a current SOAR analyst, who has also shared various aspects of the SOAR program. In addition, you also have the opportunity to connect more directly with our current analysts in the meet and greets. I also want to take this opportunity to thank our entire recruiting team or event team, as well as all of the analysts who put in hours to make this webinar a reality. So I started my career, admittedly not very well versed at all about the tech industry or various functions within this industry. But I always knew that I like analytical work, and I am fascinated by business drivers and business models. That interest first took me through economic litigation consulting here in the Bay Area, and then to management consulting in Singapore, Southeast Asia, before realizing mostly through trials and errors that the type of work that I really want to do, really enjoy, is in this very generically named function called business operations, or more descriptively, strategy and operations in the tech industry. I wish I had a lot more guidance, a lot more flexibility to experience various types of work. So that is why when I had this opportunity to lead the SOAR program, I jumped at it. To provide this level of structure and guidance for early career talent interested in this line of work, like the audience that we have today. Throughout the programming for tonight, you're gonna learn why this is an amazing, if not the best opportunity around to start a career in technology, strategy, and operations. As for the agenda today, next slide, please. We're gonna spend some time grounding us in the very core of LinkedIn. That is our vision or culture, as well as the growth that we have seen. Then dive in specifically into the SOAR program, gives you the chance to ask a lot of questions with our panelists, and then engage in smaller breakout rooms. And finally, come back to cover the application process. With that, I'll hand it over to Ali to share what LinkedIn is all about.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for being here this evening. Like Luan said, my name is Ali, and I'm one of the recruiting co-chairs for the SOAR program. Right now, I work on the LinkedIn Sales Solutions BizOps team, and I've been at LinkedIn since October of 2019. So coming up on 2 years. And before LinkedIn, I worked in management consulting for 2 years after graduating from Duke over in North Carolina. So if anyone's a Dookie or in the Raleigh-Durham area, shout out to you. So yeah, I'm going to talk a little bit about our vision. LinkedIn's vision is to create economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. And this comes into play when we look at the types of people that we serve. So if we go to the next slide, we can see that our members have grown astronomically since our founding back in 2002. We started with a very humble amount of members, and over time, through expanding internationally, going public, and being acquired by Microsoft, we've ultimately reached over 700 million members today. And on the next slide, you'll be able to see that our member base is kind of diversifying over time. So at the beginning, our member base really focused on professionals in corporate jobs. as you can see kind of on the left-hand side of this graph. And as we think about the future of LinkedIn and providing economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce, not just, professionals in corporate jobs, we're thinking about how to make our platform more applicable for frontline workers, international workers, and really just kind of like opening up the platform and making it something that works for every single person. And ultimately, our goal is to have the 3 billion plus members in the global workforce using LinkedIn. So the way that we support these members is through, our free flagship product, which is the LinkedIn that, we all kind of know today. And then we also have our business lines, which is kind of like how we make money. And so the first is our talent solutions business line, and this incorporates all of the products related to hiring and learning. So our jobs product, our LinkedIn learning product. The decision maker here is the kind of head of HR at a specific company. Then we have marketing solutions, and this is our ads business. So this is when an advertiser pays us to put their content on linkedin.com. As you're scrolling, I'm sure you see, promoted slots. That is coming through our marketing business. Then we have LinkedIn sales solutions, which is Sales Navigator and LinkedIn Sales Insights. These are products aimed at salespeople and sales organizations. And then we have Premium, which I'm sure many of you are familiar with. This is like the consumer paid product. Now I'm going to talk a little bit about the culture at LinkedIn, which is really a wonderful culture that was a main selling point for me when I decided to join just over 2 years ago. So if we go to the next page, these are some of our cultural values, which really resonate across the company. And if you talk to anyone who works at LinkedIn, regardless of if they're in business operations or if they're in sales, marketing, talent, these are the values that everyone gets behind and everyone is very familiar with. My personal favorite, if I had to choose, would probably be relationships matter. And I just think it's a really great value for everyone to anchor on. And for me personally, it's been great that everyone across the company is very interested in forming these meaningful relationships. Again, regardless of where you work in the business, regardless of what business line you support, the culture is really like a great team. And even though it's a really big company, I feel like I'm on this like big team where everyone is working together to achieve a common goal and to achieve that vision. And so I think this is just like it's really awesome that we have these 6 values that, are applicable across. And I think we'll go to the next page. Perfect. So obviously, as part of the awesome culture at LinkedIn, we are very invested in creating a diverse workforce. And so we wanted to highlight here some of the awesome employee resource groups that we have at LinkedIn to promote diversity and inclusion and belonging. And so you can see there's just a plethora. These are only a few of the employee resource groups that we have at LinkedIn. But I just think it's really important to recognize that, as such a big company, there's ways to find community, not only within the function you support, such as business operations, but also in a bunch of other areas, whether it's joining, the Women at LinkedIn group, the Asian Alliance, like there's opportunities to find community across the board and form those relationships with individuals who might be outside of your immediate team. So this is a priority for us, and our number one operating priority at LinkedIn is team and talent. And as part of that, it is making sure that we put an emphasis on diversity, inclusion, and belonging. Great. So I'm going to, with that, pass it over to Jesse to talk a little bit more about the specifics of the SOAR program.
Can you all see me?
We can hear you. Are you there,
Hear
Jess?
me? Yes,
Yeah,
I'm
no,
here.
you're there. We see you and we hear you.
Perfect. Awesome. Oh, now there we go. I can see myself now. Thank you so much for the wonderful introduction, Luan and Ali, and nice to meet you all today. By way of introduction, my name is Jessie. I've been at LinkedIn for a little over 6 years now, and actually joined LinkedIn through the SOAR program, which back then was known as the SMA program. And so 6, 7 years ago was exactly in the shoes that you all are in today. Currently in the business operations long-term strategy team, which actually looks at some of the more ambiguous strategic problems that LinkedIn faces over a 3 to 5 year time horizon. And today I'm really excited to be able to introduce to you some details about our program. So the program that we have here is the Strategy, Operations, and Analytics rotational program, which we also affectionately call the SOAR program. And our vision is to transform early talent, that is yourselves, into a powerful network of data-driven strategic business leaders. Next slide, please. As you may have seen on the SOAR program website, the structure of this program is actually compartmentalized into 6-month rotations. And the goal of these rotations is to provide that broad, diverse foundation for folks who go through this program to really have an understanding of many different parts of what it takes to be a strategic leader in a business such as LinkedIn, so that when you graduate from the program, you're actually equipped with a lot of amazing skills and experiences to take forward with you. The first thing that folks do when they actually join the SOAR program is go through 2 weeks of onboarding and training. Lots of exciting things here. You'll get to learn SQL, you get to learn more about our businesses, you'll get to network with leaders across LinkedIn, including many leaders within BizOps, to give you that foundational head start within your rotations. Then within the first year, you will have a rotation within a business operations product role and one within the business operations sales roles. These roles themselves can be across a variety of LinkedIn's products, but is intended to expose you to the 2 major parts of our businesses, which is again, product and go-to-market, or also known as sales. So whichever one you get in the first rotation, you'll get to experience the other in your second rotation. Then once you've actually built that foundation within your first year, the next 2 rotations are really more of an elective rotation. They're up to you. We have a lot of different business operations teams here at LinkedIn. As you'll come to see when you meet some of the analysts, we have a lot of different product groups, interest areas, depending on what you want to make out of your career and your rotations. So in this program, you'll have the option to do 2 6-month elective rotations with teams that you're interested in. As someone who has been through this program before, I know it is definitely not always the case, where you basically get to pick the teams that you're really interested in, pick the people that you work with, try it out, see if you like it. That was a huge appeal to me when I went through this program. They're definitely an amazing experience to help you figure out and try things out to really develop that sense of what you're really looking for in that longer term career. Then once you're finished with these rotations, you'll have the opportunity to join a business operations team as an associate full-time. Next slide, please. As I had mentioned before, when you go through these rotations, our goal is really to build a very foundational set of skills for you to become a strong business leader that is both analytical and strategic. So first of all, you will be able to learn technical skills. Primarily within BizOps, it is SQL and Excel, and analyzing data in order to tell a story, typically through either PowerPoint or Word documentation. In addition to that, you'll also be able to develop a lot of soft skills because you as a BizOps and SOAR analyst will actually be embedded within a certain team, whether that be in go-to-market or in product, to actually work to drive strategy, to take the insights that you develop through the technical skills that you acquire and actually start driving change. So building trust with key stakeholders, communication, hypothesis-driven thinking, presentation, influence, persuasion, all those things, you will have the opportunity to really hone your skills on. Next slide, please. So you definitely won't be going through this journey alone. We have actually a very broad support network for you in this program because we truly believe in investing in SOAR analysts as much as possible. So you will have a rotation manager who will be responsible for your day-to-day management, providing things like business context and guidance on your work. The SOAR program heads, such as Milan, who you met earlier today, definitely a great source of career advice. Professional development managers tend to be folks a little bit more senior in that director, senior director seniority, who are really there to help you shape your career and talk about your longer term goals and aspirations. Then, of course, you also have things like experienced mentors, SOAR peer buddies, informal mentors. These are all going to be folks that you will naturally build relationships with over time within your time in the program. Definitely super, super valuable and fulfilling relationships. The SOAR community itself is definitely one of the most fun parts of being in this program. Because the SOAR program actually starts as a class, it means that you'll be starting at the same time as several other SOAR analysts. We definitely have a lot of trainings that you do together. Social events are definitely a ton of fun. Even though we have been remote for the past year or so, the SOAR analysts have actually still found opportunities to hold events with each other virtually, to occasionally meet up if folks feel safe to do so. Definitely a ton of fun and something you should absolutely ask the analysts about when we hit the breakout rooms. So a lot of folks who go through the program go on to do a bunch of different things because the skills that you will be learning in this program are so foundational. Things like communication, technical skills. There are actually a lot of opportunities for those folks who go through this program. These are examples of just a few alumni that have gone through this program. Lots of folks have gone on to become leaders and people managers within business operations at LinkedIn. Some folks also opt to try something new. We have an enterprise account executive, Janesh, from my class. We've had some folks going to corporate development, some folks who have chosen to go on to pursue an MBA. The opportunities are really out there, and SOAR is an amazing landing spot and launch pad for any sort of career in the business strategy space. Lastly, just some frequently asked questions about this program. As far as location goes, currently, due to the pandemic, everyone at LinkedIn is actually working remotely. When offices fully reopen, we will be adopting a hybrid model, which means that employees will typically live within a reasonable commuting distance to a LinkedIn office, but will otherwise have the flexibility to work from home part of the week. For this program, SOAR analysts may be expected to live within a reasonable distance of the San Francisco office, but this will also be dependent on broader BizOps policy, which is still in flux. So this may be subject to change. There also may occasionally be some rotations that will require travel to the Mountain View office, which is about an hour or so away south of San Francisco. In those cases, though, there are convenient LinkedIn shuttles that will actually go through San Francisco and take you down there and back. So that may happen, but other than that, long distance travel isn't actually required for this role. So SOAR is an entry-level role. It's really open to anyone who is interested in building that starting foundation in strategy and analytics. Folks that are eligible will have a bachelor's in finance, business, accounting, economics, engineering, essentially any major that has a quantitative component to it. You will also be expected to achieve that bachelor's degree by July 2022, which will be the start date of this program. And as I mentioned in the slide before, after this program, you'll definitely have the ability to join a BizOps team as an associate. Amazing. So with that, I'll hand the floor back over so we can kick off our panel Q&A.
Great, thanks, Jessie. So we're going to begin the panel We have some really wonderful folks who are here to answer some pre-submitted questions and then also some live questions from the chat. And so I think we'll just kick it off by first introducing everyone. We'll go in order here on the slide. And if our panelists could just briefly introduce themselves, that would be great. And then I'll ask the pre-submitted questions after that. So Grant, over to you for an introduction.
Thanks, Allie. Hi, everyone. I'm Grant. I'm currently on the Marketing and Communications BizOps team, and I'm part of the newest SOAR class that started just a little bit ago in July. And one thing that's not on my LinkedIn profile is I'm a big tennis fan. My favorite player is Venus Williams, and I'm really hoping to see her play again in person before she retires. I actually have this awesome signed poster from her still at home. I'm from Illinois. And I need to get that shipped to me ASAP now that I moved to San Francisco.
Hi, I'm Lily. I'm on the Equity Strategy BizOps team, and that's focused on how we can drive more equitable outcomes through products specifically targeting diversity, equity, and inclusion. And I'm in the SOAR class of 2020. One thing not on my LinkedIn profile is that I love personality psychology and tests like the Enneagram, Myers-Briggs, and all of that.
Nick, you're on mute. Still on mute. We've been having the struggle of getting used to Zoom in the office. I don't know. There we go.
Okay, now can people hear me?
Yes, there you are.
Awesome. Okay. Hey everyone, I'm Nick. Calling in from the LinkedIn office. My name's not OR. That's just the room that I'm in the SF office. So don't look that up on LinkedIn. I was in the SOAR class of 2019, so I just finished up my 2 years in the program, and I'm staying on at LinkedIn as part of the business operations and analytics team, which is a team kind of similar to SOAR. We do short-term projects that last usually a quarter on different BizOps teams at LinkedIn. So I just started that last couple of weeks, really excited. Something not on my LinkedIn profile is that I love geography, and especially the game GeoGuessr. If any of you guys are aware of that, I'm obsessed with it and play it almost every day. Cool, so I'll pass it on to Jesse.
Hey, I'll introduce myself already, so we'll skip that introduction and then allow some of these wonderful panelists to start answering some questions.
Awesome. Thanks, everyone. So we are going to have 3 questions that were pre-submitted. So I'm going to ask Catherine Vong if you could come off mute and ask your question. Jesse is going to answer that one.
Hi, everyone. My name is Catherine, and I'm calling in from Los Angeles. So my question is, I know that SOAR has a small analyst class, as small as 5, I've heard. So how do you ensure diversity within the class when it's so small?
Yeah, thank you so much for that great question. As Ali mentioned in the introduction, talent is our #1 operating priority. And team diversity matters to us a ton because it continues to drive the overall vision of the company, which is creating economic opportunity for every member of the global workforce. So that being said, diversity, inclusion, and belonging, or what we call DIBS, is a huge priority for us. LinkedIn is actually continuing to drive greater accountability for hiring inclusivity for both managers and recruiters. And we've actually seen a lot of growth year on year in the number of diverse slate candidates, including Black and Latino talent who attend the on-site interview stages. And we also do a lot of efforts to continue to promote LinkedIn's roles through a wide range of sources like talent media, sponsored engagements, and by partnering with organizations that support people from underrepresented groups at various stages. As a result, we definitely try to create as robust and diverse of a pipeline as possible.
Thanks, Jesse. Going to ask our next question asker, Joseph Choi, if you could come off mute to ask your question.
Yes. Hi, everyone. I'm Joseph Choi, zooming in from San Francisco. And my question is, I know that the SOAR program is a very analytical role, but also I know that LinkedIn is a very entrepreneurial company. So how does entrepreneurial thinking and scrappiness come up in your role at LinkedIn?
Let's start with, Lily, go ahead.
Great question. I think that one thing that's really cool about LinkedIn is that each business line and team is so different, and some have been around way longer than others. So I've found that there's always like new products, new ideas, and room for creativity for that reason. My current rotation, as I mentioned, is on the equity strategy team, which is a relatively new team at LinkedIn. And I've definitely needed to use scrappiness and entrepreneurial thinking because we're figuring out how to track our metrics and measure success and move forward. And we're constantly like testing and iterating. For example, I was responsible for making a dashboard for Self-ID, which is a brand new product you may have seen that allows like members to enter demographic information. And because this was a new product, we've never had to pull the metrics before and had to come up with a new way of tracking. So I generally think a lot of BizOps work involves solving ambiguous problems like that, which requires creativity and ideating and bouncing ideas off of other people, even in like a virtual room. And I think those are all characteristics of a startup world. So whether it's reevaluating an old process or implementing something new, I think there's always room for innovation and creativity, and that's something that's really celebrated at LinkedIn. And Grant.
Thanks, Lily. So great question. Let me share two examples I have. So both on like the like entrepreneurial thinking side and then also the scrappiness. And so in college, I took some entrepreneurship classes, and a big focus then was on truly understanding, you know, like the customer or the client's needs so that you can build a product or like a service to satisfy that need. So in that same vein, like I'm working on a project right now where I'm helping to produce a presentation on the state of customer marketing at LinkedIn for our Chief Marketing and Communications Officer, which is obviously like pretty high visibility and a little nerve-wracking too. So to do a good job, especially since I'm totally new and like just even learning what customer marketing even is, I've been helping interview all the different customer marketing teams across LinkedIn's like different lines of business to understand what's working great, as well as like what could be improved or what's not working so well, so that my team can produce strong, informed recommendations and share them with confidence. And then, so like stakeholder interviews are a great example, I would say, of using like that entrepreneurial mindset. And then in your question, you also mentioned scrappiness. So I'm working on another project right now too, where I'm sizing the opportunities of putting some new types of advertisements in different spots across LinkedIn. And to do this, I use SQL, like we've been talking about, to pull data about real customer actions, like how many impressions were there or how many clicks there were in, for example, like August on like the XYZ page on the website or app. And like while I've been doing this, we actually ran into a challenge where the data set I've been pulling from wasn't quite as like healthy as we expected, and some data points weren't being tracked for certain platforms. So I had to like improvise a little and come up with a way to estimate some of the missing data and variables. So these like traits are definitely relied on a lot in my role, even though it's only been like 2 months already as a SOAR analyst. So hopefully that helps.
Thank you. We have time for a few more questions that we're seeing in the chat. So wanted to ask our panelists, maybe I'll go to you, Lily. What other like hard and soft skills do you believe are really important for your role besides just the ones mentioned before? Kind of what are some skills that you've picked up that might have like been a little bit more surprising to you starting this role?
Yeah, good question. I think one of the biggest things is like figuring out how to ask the right questions, and like especially like at a company like LinkedIn that's like larger and more established, like being willing to push back and kind of like evaluate old processes and like ask questions about like why we're doing this and how could we be doing this better is a skill like I didn't think I would need to learn. And like presentation, comms, taking like a piece of data besides just like the quantitative skills of like running data analysis, like looking at that data and thinking like, so what, why does this matter? And what impact is it going to actually have is a really big skill. I don't know if Grant or Nick want to add anything.
I think that was good. We have one other good question that I think, Grant, you would be really well positioned to answer, which is what in the first like couple of months in the SOAR program would you consider your biggest, like one of the biggest challenges that you faced, and how have you kind of overcome it?
Yeah, that's a great question. And so I think just having graduated from college recently, where like all of the assignments you do are generally have like the right answer, and you know, like your professor's gonna like check whether or not you like got it. It's just like very different when you start working. And so where like problems are ambiguous, and kind of like what I mentioned when I was talking about being scrappy, like you have to sometimes like pull other people in to help you. And it's not so much about like doing everything on your own and like no cheating and all that. Like it's encouraged to reach out to other people in biz ops. And I've been doing that frequently, or even in like data science or some of my product partners to get to the right answer. Because at the end of the day, we're trying to like drive value for all of our members and also the business. And so we just want to do the best we can. So I hope that makes sense.
Great. Thanks, Grant. And I guess, do we have time? Just want to give a quick time check to my colleagues. Do we have time for a few more, or should we advance to the breakout room section?
I think we have time for one more.
Awesome. I guess we can maybe put this one to Nick, since he didn't answer. If you had to describe a successful SOAR analyst, what 3 words would they be? It's a tough one.
All right. Can you guys hear me?
Yes.
Okay, cool. A successful SOAR analyst, I think could be described as kind, collaborative, and strategic. I think those 3 words sum up how I would describe a great SOAR analyst. Kind, I think that's the LinkedIn culture. It's so critical to how we work every day here at the company. And, you know, strategic and collaborative, really important as well for day-to-day SOAR analyst tasks.
Awesome. I know that was a tough one. Great. So with that, everyone, I know there's many more questions. We are going to put everyone into breakout rooms with a few SOAR analysts, and that will be an opportunity for you to ask other questions there. And so with that, we're going to have the Zoom magic happen, and you'll be randomly placed. So I will turn it over to the Zoom gods